What's going on, everybody? I'm Hobbs, and you're watching the... What's going on, everybody? I'm Hobbs, and you're watching shit. What's going on, everybody? This is Hobbs, and you're watching the Underground Bunker on Bloodrock Media.
Sex robot, 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 sex robot.
Coming to your town.
Sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot, sex robot.
Do you wanna get down?
Sex robot.
Hello, kids and kitties. It is I, Hobbs. The Underground Bunker is back. I just got back from Chicago and I brought with me some Chicago-style pizza. I'm a very happy camper because I got to see a killer show there. And afterwards, I went to see a local show there. So very, very fucking cool-ass weekend. I hope your weekend was very fun, too. You all know what this is. It is a weekly web series where I showcase unsigned and underground bands that I really think you ought to be paying attention to, because in this day and age where everyone is, oh my god, daily, everyone's pissed off about something. And now people at YouTube are getting shot. Everything is just going out the fucking window. Entropy is a thing. We all need music, because otherwise we just go and fucking insane. So, that in mind, let's do a fucking show. This week we are starting with a band that reached out to us a while ago through the website, and I'm really, really glad they did. This, friends, is Bloodline. Now here's a really cool thing. I have been talking a lot more about bands from Texas lately. Don't know how this happened, but I've interviewed 2 bands from Texas within the span of a week, and I've been listening to a lot more Texas bands out of it. I have no idea how or why, but there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Texas, and fucking A. I mean, it can only be a good thing. So this 4-piece metal band got their start in 2014, and actually done pretty well for themselves. I do wish they would have more likes on their Facebook, and I think that can only be because they are fucking talented ass musicians. Their PR agency got in touch with us a while back and sort of been hounding Bloodrock to get these guys going. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, they're going on the show. So I listened to their album, and immediately the album starts off by smacking me in the face with their dick, and then they follow it up with a baseball bat kiss, because it's fucking heavy, and it's fucking heavy, like right in the face. It's balls out metal, and it's really, really good. Enjoyed the fuck out of it, and it's dynamic too, which is really, really, sometimes it's kind of hard to come by, and it's got a lot of dynamic, it's got a lot of oomph, it's got style, and these guys are not what I thought that they would look like. And they remind me of a mix between Soilwork and Old Chimera, which, you know, it all comes down to the guy's vocals. It's got very, very wide dynamic. And you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, Threat Signal kind of reminds me of Threat Signal, with those high carried out notes during the chorus is like, yeah! You know, and you know, other bands do it too. But this guy reminds me of Threat Signal's singer. Downside. Unfortunately, these guys don't get to do a whole lot of gigging, and I'm sure it's because, you know, times are tough and that's all it is. I really wish they'd get out and get some more gigs going, because, you know, they don't get out of Texas, or at least not from what I've seen, and I really wish they would. And it's because they are so fucking good. So what I think needs to happen is some other bands need to get going and get in touch with these guys, bring them out of Texas. You know, get them on the road, and get them on soon. They do have an album out. It is called Insolent, and it fucking rocks. I listened to the whole goddamn thing. It fucking rocks. You can get it on their website, which is bloodlinetx.com. Do also check out their Facebook page and their YouTube. The second group of misfits that I bringeth unto you is a band whose genre I haven't talked about in quite a while, so I'm happy to do it. This band is called Eva Under Fire.
finally feel alive.
All right, I know what you're going to say. Hobbs, why are we listening to Bubblegum? You're not. You're listening to pop rock. And it's a 5-piece pop rock band out of fucking Detroit. So, and that's one reason why I put them on right away. They're from Detroit. You know, Motor City, a pop rock, you know, kind of an pop rock band coming out of Detroit is something to say. And these guys stuck out right away, and not the least of which is the fact that they're, you know, that they've got the look for it, which is good. They got their start in 2015. I can only assume from the singer and guitar player Amanda and Rob, who are related, I believe brother and sister, and they've done pretty well for themselves despite the fact that Detroit is not the place to play for local bands, I guess, anymore, which is really sad given how great, you know, it is for touring bands. You would think that there's more places open to having local bands, but my editor-in-chief, April, tells me that there is shit there. So the fact that a band like this is doing as well as they are, and they're coming from Detroit, saying something. One reason that could be is because they get the fuck out of Detroit as often as they can. Very respectable. Matter of fact, they're actually coming here really soon to a place in Fort Atkinson called Hijinks. So I am definitely going to go check them out. Now, a sound like this can easily be labeled bubblegum, you know, and if you're not familiar with that, go back to the 80s. But I don't think so, because it's kind of got a little bit of a harder edge, and it reminded me very readily of bands like Paramore, which, if you're into that kind of thing, which I am, I really enjoy it. Now, if you ask me, a band like this definitely needs to be doing more shows, and even, you know, in as tough an environment as it is today, these guys are kind of doing it. I wish they would do more. Like, hey guys, book a Milwaukee date on your way to Hijinks. But they are doing it, and they are doing it as well as they possibly can. They do have an album. It is called War. Listen to the whole thing on their .com. You can also get it on Amazon, Google, and blah, 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 blah. And also, of course, they do have a Facebook page, which I invite you to view.
Segway!
This next group of people is a band that I've been biting at my own heels to talk about ever since I reviewed their album on bloodrockmedia.com a couple of months ago. And finally got the chance to talk about them. They are hip, they are hot, and they tickle my philosophical funny bone. This is The Divided Line.
We will remain. We're protected.
Now, a prog rock band with only 4 members is a little odd to me. I don't know why, but it sort of sounds a little weird, because when I think prog rock, I think like 5, 6 members. You know, sometimes 7. I mean, you never know with prog. I mean, look at bands like Dream Theater. There you go. So, a 4-piece prog rock band out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Got their start in 2009. The guitar player Blair Barton started the band, and they've had several members since. Even the singer isn't the original, but he's doing quite well, if you ask me. The name comes from, and I have a little bit of experience with this, the name comes from Plato, the old philosopher. It's one of his stories, and it discusses the conflict between the body and the mind, and the schism thereof. Hence the divided line. It's like a line right down the middle, and the schism between the two. Now, being a prog band, you know, you'd assume that they test their boundaries and stuff, and they do. They have a really creative sound that brings a lot of imagery to the mind. So it definitely fits very comfortably into the prog genre without being pretentious about it. You know, every once in a while you hear that band that's just shoehorning stuff into it that says, look how many things we can do. You know, this band doesn't do it. It's very flowing, very creative, and it brings a lot to the head. Very easy to listen to, while at the same time seriously making you enjoy it and just appreciate it by thinking about where it's going. I love stuff like that, and I don't get it often enough. I actually reviewed this album, as I said, on the website a few months ago. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and it's because, like I said, it flows very well. It's got a lot of dynamic to it. And one thing that really struck me about about this band is that it actually kind of links in some like old school nu metal. Like it reminded me a lot, especially with the new singer. It reminded me a lot of like Disturbed and Tool. So, I mean, picture that. Well, actually, listen to that. The band asked me to plug a show that they have on May 5th in Oshawa, which is also in Ontario. I can assume within driving distance of Toronto. So definitely, if you are in Canada, go check them out on May 5th. Other than that, you can check them out on their .com, which is thedividedline.com, and of course, they have a Facebook page. I haven't really gotten to talk about bands from my neck of the woods in a while, because there's a lot of stuff coming out of areas that are not in the Midwest, at least not Wisconsin. That said, this band is one of the most luridly odd bands I have ever heard. And I'm glad they're from Wisconsin, because a band like this can only be from Wisconsin. This is Cookie Crotch Nuts. Yeah, this band is interesting. They are a six-piece electro-punk band from right here in Wisconsin, from Salem, Wisconsin, which, if you know the area, you know that you should not be surprised that a band like this came out of a town like that. They got their start in 1999 with the two founding members, Johnny Thrust and Spunk Injector 3000, sort of hanging out in each other's basements in 7th grade. And I'm quite privileged to know that. And as you do when you're that age and sort of, full of, young, dumb, and full of cum, you're thinking a lot about sex, and you're thinking a lot about disgusting stuff like farts and boogers and things like that, and what to do with them and places to put them. So it doesn't stretch the mind at all to think that these guys came up with some seriously weird shit back then, let alone the stuff they're coming up with now. What I love about this band is all the different styles that it brings to bear on the audience. When I listen to them, and the song you're listening to is called Disgraceland. When I listen to this, I immediately think of bands that I love. Devo, Green Jello, and In Vitro. And if you don't know In Vitro, the guitar player from Snot, his name's Mikey Doling. After Lynn Strait died, he did a band called In Vitro. And those guys were some seriously weird motherfuckers. Go back and listen to them. Go check out When I Was a Planet. Good fucking song. So they bring to my mind these three bands, and that to me is fucking awesome. Aside from the fact that these guys have actually played with Green Jello, they've managed to carve out their own weird fucking sound, and they definitely have the image to back it up. In their own words, they started as noobs and played for a while as noobs, unseasoned noobs at it for quite a while, and then they became seasoned, like Laurie Seasoned Salt around 2008 in the original release of their album Abusement Park. And since then, they've seriously honed their sound, and it's gotten way better, and they've played a lot of shows because of it. They are slotted to play a place called Lombard, Illinois this weekend at a festival called Twat Fest with a band called Maggot Twat. If you know about Maggot Twat, you know that they've been around just as long as these guys, and I can only imagine what kind of time it's going to be. It's going to be interesting, it's going to be loud, it's going to be fornicative, and it's going to be messy. So you really should be there. If you can't, you can check them out on cookiecrotchnuts.com, and of course they do have a website on Facebook, so go look.
Segway!
Here's another band that I reviewed on the website a while back. Without any further ado, this is Daedalian Complex. Now this band is kind of a conundrum, because on one hand, the sound that they have right now is really good. I reviewed their album a couple of months ago, and it was really good. It's got that sort of Dimmu Borgir-ish, while at the same time kind of bringing it back towards a little bit like Cradle of Filth, because the singer's voice has that timbre. But on the other hand, these guys used to look and sound a lot different, and I liked that too. In fact, I think I like the old version of them a lot better, because it was sort of, I mean, it was still like the Dimmu Borgir Cradle of Filth thing, but it looked a lot more like Deering Gray or something like synth pop kind of thing, where it was makeup and goth and very, very, very in your face. And what they're doing now definitely works for them. But like I said, I think I enjoy that version a lot too, because there's not a lot of that going around anymore, and there's definitely not a lot of bands that do it well. And for a band coming out of Canada, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of different theories going around why I think Midwest bands and Canadian bands are sort of doing it better than a lot of the coast bands, because since the Midwest and Canada don't have like a whole of one coast to draw, we're getting it all from both coasts at the same time, and so you end up having bands that sound like this, which fucking rocks. I don't really have a whole lot else to say, because they're not doing a whole lot of gigs. I really wish they would, and I wish they'd get out of Canada, because there's just not enough Canadian bands besides Kitty making it south of the border. So I think that a band like Daedalian Complex would do pretty well in the States, given that the melodic death metal scene is definitely getting a bump in popularity these days. You can check them out on their Facebook, and you can also check out their .com. Do check it out, and also buy the album. That's all the time we have on this episode of the Underground Bunker, friends and fans. Once again, I invite you to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. You all know how this works. It's YouTube. And do give the bands your love. Go click on the links, buy their music, all that good stuff. They need your loving. They need your support, especially in this day and age. Here's a funny thought. Here's something really, really interesting. CD sales are going back up. Really, really cool. Keep it up, people. Do check out the Spotify, which grows longer every week. Do check out all our websites and all that good stuff. And if you have 54 extra minutes, do check out the Toxic Dream right there at the bottom. That is my personal project, and I do think you would like it. I am going to leave you with this particular thought. An event happened earlier this week that sort of really rammed it home that we are still stuck in our old ways. As bad as things are today, we need to get out of the what can you do for me mindset. It is well past the time when, doing something because you're getting something out of it is good business. Bands these days cannot afford to focus solely on what I'm going to get immediately. So bands, my advice for you is this. Get out of that mindset. Get out to other people's shows, enjoy other bands, because music is fucking life. That's it. Get out and enjoy the party. I am Hobbs. I'm out.